as the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues after this.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Attorney Tom McIntyre.
Life. It may knock you down, but you don't have to stay that way. I'm Tom McIntyre. I'm a bankruptcy attorney, and I'm here to help you. Give us a call, and we'll send you a copy of my free book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. It's an interesting read, and it'll explain bankruptcy to you like no other book does. Give us a call. We're here to help.
Call Thomas E. McIntyre and Associates at 304-232-8600. Allow us to help put you back on the road to financial success.
Toyotas are known for reliability, value, and our large selection of all-wheel drive vehicles for those unexpected weather conditions, like a gas model RAV4, right now with $500 cash back, or a 22 Corolla with $500 cash back, or go with a stylish Camry with up to $1,250 total cash allowance. Visit buyatoyota.com and find a dealer near you. You can take cash back or apply toward down payment. Offers may vary for hybrid models. See your dealer for details. Offers end October 4th. Toyota. Let's go places.
Are you traveling? Working a little bit too much? Is your fur baby starting to get a little shaggy? Let Dirty Paws be your one-stop shop for all of your pet care needs. Stop in and see us at 202 18th Street or give us a call at 304-639-7754 to schedule your appointments for dog grooming, doggy daycare, and dog boarding today.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Washington County's largest gun show is back on Saturday and Sunday, September 25th and 26th, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Washington County Fairgrounds. Admission is only $7. Kids under 12 get in free with an adult. Everyone is welcome. They offer free appraisals and have great prices on all types of firearms, modern, military, and antique. They have over 450 tables, and the food's pretty good too. They have all these tables with cash buyers on site for your used guns. Visit arhsportshop.com or you can give them a call, 724-948-3571. That's 724-948-3571 for more information. That's the Washington County Gun Show presented by ARH Sports Shop, September 25th and 26th.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Track.
All righty, thank you.
29, mainly clear overnight with a low of 62 degrees. You'll see clouds and sunshine for your Friday with highs in the low 80s. Have a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Live from the Robinson Auto Group studios in the heart of the Ohio Valley, this is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
60 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 62 degrees here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and 62 at the Robinson Auto Group studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Mixture of sun and clouds throughout the day today. I think it's going to be more cloudy than sun, although Zach said he's kind of revising his forecast, and we'll see maybe more sun this afternoon, but I don't think it's going to be a beautiful sunny day. That's me. It's not the weatherman. That's me saying that. Going to have a high today around 78. Going to be muggy again. It's been a muggy period of time here. Going to stay that way for a while. It's 8:11 here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Where have we been and where are we going today? Heavy rains meant flooding in parts of Marshall County in particular yesterday. We've been talking about that. One Ohio County school is going to have to go remote starting today, at least for part of their school. The nationwide, about 30% of all COVID cases are now children. West Virginia, again, hitting record COVID numbers. Wheeling's Soup Kitchen now requiring vaccination cards before being allowed to eat in the dining room. All of that in our daily COVID roundup coming up in just a bit. Working on your health and wellness can seem to be a full-time job. But there are always things that get in the way. That is the premise of a new podcast called Health Interrupted. This week's guest on Health Interrupted is an old friend of this radio show's, Dreama Denver. She is the wife of the late Bob Denver, Gilligan of Gilligan's Island. She's been with us many times before. She lives in downstate West Virginia, has her own radio station, Little Buddy Radio. She's with us, and so are the podcast hosts to talk about this new podcast and to talk about, whenever Dreama's with us, Biffy, we always talk about Gilligan and, the TV shows and all that kind of stuff. And she and Bob Denver had an autistic child. We're going to talk about that. She had a heart attack. We're going to talk about that and talk about how you fight through your health issues to try to maintain better health. So that's coming up a little bit later on this morning as well. Plus, we're going to take a look at this year's Toy Hall of Fame finalists. All of that coming up today here on the Watchdog Morning Show. First of all, let's welcome to the show the mayor of the Friendly City, Glenn Elliott. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, Mr. Monroe.
How are you this morning? All ready to greet the Friendly City today?
I am doing well. I woke up and I was checking my Twitter and I saw my notification that I'm going to be on the show, and I forgot to put on my calendar I'm going to be on the show, so I'm glad I checked Twitter. Because I thought, hey, Mayor Elliott's going to be on Howard. Oh, wait, that's me. So I needed to get ready. But no, thanks for having me on.
I want to talk about this B&O thing in a minute, but let me ask you a question. It's out of the blue, but are you guys talking about, are you, the manager and others, talking about maybe having to go to any tighter COVID protocols at the City Hall because of the increase in numbers of cases that we're seeing?
Yeah, with respect to the city building and city employees generally, that's ultimately the city manager's call. I have suggested to members of council that we should consider resorting or going back to a mask policy during council meetings. We're all vaccinated on council, but obviously you've seen breakthrough cases out there. I know people would complain when watching that they couldn't hear us when we were masked. Maybe the speaker could take his or her mask off, but I do think it's time that we probably take a step in that direction. But whether or not the city building goes back, my guess is the city manager will follow recommendations of Howard Gamble and the health department on that. But it's certainly something that we're mindful of, seeing the recent uptick in numbers.
Yeah, we talked to Howard this week, but I didn't ask him that question. And I just note that Moundsville is putting some, I think, mask requirements in effect for city-owned property and so on. And we're just in that really weird stage. You look at the numbers, and there's no question they're dramatically increasing. On the other hand, lots of us are already vaccinated. It's just it's a real question what to do, I think.
Yeah, and the issue for us at of course, City County building is we don't own that building. We control several parts of it, but it's a county-owned building. So really, having a policy there that wouldn't apply to everybody may not make much sense. So I think that's something that needs to be done in conjunction with the county as well. And I think the health department, we'd be looking to them for guidance on it. But it's certainly something, at least for us, we do kind of, we have council meetings where, we get a lot of people in a relatively confined quarters. I think that's something we should probably look at. I don't want to go to back to a scenario where we have to restrict access to that room like we did before, but I think it's probably a minor step we could take that would just be prudent.
Correct me if I'm wrong, city employees have to either be vaccinated or tested on a regular basis. Am I right about that?
That is correct. And, We have looked at ways to incentivize that. Some cities have incentivized employees getting vaccinated with sort of cash payments or whatever. That's something I believe you could do with the ARPA funds, rescue plan funds that the city received. But we would like to get those numbers up. I don't know the latest numbers in terms of the numbers of employees who have been vaccinated. I know a lot have been. Like I said, everyone on city council has been vaccinated. Most of the city staff that I regularly interact with, I believe, have all been vaccinated. But still a lot of folks out there who haven't been. So it's certainly something we need to get those vaccination numbers up because, as you pointed out, the overall numbers of COVID infections in our community are headed in the wrong direction. We're really back, in some respects, to where we were a year ago, and that's not good. We're seeing the virus infect a broader swath of people too. Younger people are now getting symptoms, whereas before they may have been asymptomatic. And I'm not the expert here, but I believe that has a lot to do with the Delta variant and sort of being more contagious, especially for younger folks. And you're seeing the issue really at the school level too. That's kind of become the sort of the crucible here for where this issue is mask or no mask is being discussed. But really, you like to. I think that ultimately, last time when we went to mask policy, all these guidelines came down from the state level and then through the county health departments, and that's ultimately where I think the decision should be made. So we have sort of a statewide policy rather than this area doing that and this area doing that. But I certainly recognize at the same time why the governor and the state are being hesitant here. Masks are a very divisive issue. The problem is they work, and we saw last year that they were very successful in reducing the transmission of other diseases like the regular flu. Flu cases went down a lot last year, so it's certainly something we have to look at, and we're keeping our tabs on that. We get the regular reports and updates from Lou Vargo in terms of the numbers infected, and I know a lot of our area hospitals are strained right now in terms of ICU bed capacity, and that's a concern not only for COVID cases, but for people if you if you need ICU services for anything else. The number of beds available is not great right now.
Or even in some cases, just basic elective surgery. I have one friend that was scheduled for some elective surgery last week or 2 weeks ago, and they said, we're not doing that for a while. I don't know if that's a policy across the board, but in his case, they said, no, we're just going to not do it. We're going to put you on hold for a while because things are so busy there. So it affects a lot of people. What's frustrating to me, Mr. Mayor, is that last year, when we were in the height of the pandemic, we were doing all of the masking and the social distancing and the hand washing and all the protocol with the goal of, if we could just get to the vaccine. Once we get to the vaccine, we'll be fine. And we got the vaccine, and it rolled out quick and fast, and then we just hit that plateau. I mean, this is what we were waiting for, was the vaccine, and now we've got folks who just won't take it. To me, that's very frustrating.
Well, it's become politicized, unfortunately, like so many things in our community, in our country these days. It's become a right-left issue or a Democrat-Republican issue, when really it should just be a common-sense public safety issue. I've talked to my parents and other folks who, back in the 50s when the polio vaccines were out there and other vaccines, there was some skepticism out there, but people recognized the need to eradicate that disease, and people lined up to get those vaccines, and it's just without the level of skepticism now that you see, and it's just disappointing that it's become politicized. I recognize there's certainly, having skepticism is completely appropriate, but I think when 99% of scientists are saying it's okay, and you have a few people on the other side saying, well, you got to look at this, I tend to go with the experts on things. Maybe I'm too trusting of experts, but I don't know, sir. I'm not an expert in molecular biology and all the different epidemiology, all the different fields here, but I tend to listen to those people who have been working on these issues for years. And when they tell me the vaccine is safe, I'm not going to go out on Google and prove them wrong. I'm going to believe them that it's safe. Maybe I'm too gullible here, but people who have dedicated their lives to these issues and studying contagious diseases like this, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here. So,
when you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of medical professionals who have spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars through probably millions through the CDC and so on to research this kind of stuff, it's okay. You got that on one hand, and you got, hey, I looked up on Google on the other hand. I know where I'm putting my trust between those two choices. Now, speaking of Facebook and social media and all the stuff that goes on there, Mr. Mayor, one of the things I have learned from the wisdom that we get when we read social media is that this city council, as apparently every city council ever born, all you want to do is tax. You just want to tax, and you just want to just to get your hands into the people. I know that because the wise people on Facebook have told me so. Which is why.
Yes, and they've told me so.
Probably more aggressively than they've told me. Yes.
Yes.
But it's why I thought to bring you on and ask you about this, since I saw where in Huntington they had tried a little experiment of suspending the B&O tax for a while during COVID, and the mayor says it worked so well that they have now eliminated B&O for retail and restaurant sales because he says they've actually made more in increased sales tax than they did lose in B&O tax. Are you following that story at all? Is it something that you are thinking about? You guys on council talk about at lunch or something?
Well, let me certainly just take a step back and, I always look at what Huntington's doing because I've gotten to know Mayor Steve Williams down there very well and really look to him as, for this position. He's really been a role model for me. He is a longtime public servant, was in the legislature back in the 80s. He served as city manager. I think he's in his third term now as mayor. Really a guy that is one of the shining stars in our state in terms of people who are he's confronted, serious issues in Huntington in terms of the opioid problem. He's taken it head on. I really like it. I'm a big fan of Mayor Williams, and anytime Huntington does something, I look at it because I know he's a very smart guy, always trying to do what's best for his community. If there's any knock on his time in office, there has been some budgetary fluctuations. A couple years ago, they had to lay off about 20 or so police officers because they ran into a shortfall. And one thing that I'm very proud of here in Wheeling, and we have a mayor-manager form of government whereas Huntington is a strong mayor, where the mayor is much more involved in budget preparations, but we've had budgetary stability here, really going back 20 years or so. A lot of that's due. You got to give credit to City Manager Bob Herron on that. But we're not in situations each year where we need to dip into our cash carryover or where we need to raise taxes or lay people off just to sort of break even. We've had a lot of stability, and so I'm always cautious about doing something just because it sounds great, but let's cut this tax because, no one likes the B&O tax. I don't like the B&O tax either. But you got to be careful about it. So in that context, yes, it's something we've looked at. Talked about it with the vice mayor just the other day. It's certainly something, we did do a rebate specifically for retail businesses as well, because we know they've been feeling the brunt of COVID probably more than any. But when you asked me to come on the radio yesterday or the day before, I had asked our finance director to kind of calculate what it would mean were we to get zero out the retail-based B&O tax, and it would cost the city about $1.5 million a year. To make that up in sales tax would take, I think, let me check the email that he sent me here. It would take almost a 53% increase in taxable sales in the city on an annual basis to make that up. So I don't know if we're in a situation where we could see that in the short term. It is something to look at, though, at least from a sort of targeted temporary relief, because I know those businesses continue to hurt, and especially if we get back into some sort of a shutdown scenario or limited, non-essential, essential worker scenario, you have to look at helping those retail businesses, which I know took a hit last year. But it's not something I'm going to jump out in front of now and say, let's do this now, because I'm just not sure. You have to look at it from a long-term budgetary perspective.
I don't know the retail situation in Huntington, so it's hard for me to make a good decision. But if you're looking at, again, in Huntington, they had a big increase in sales tax. We don't have as much retail. I mean, we do in the outlying areas, Warwood, Elm Grove, and so on, but we don't have a real cluster of retail, so I just don't know. Now, our restaurants are pretty good, and we're getting more and more restaurants, but I don't know that we've got the base of retail that an increase, this is just my opinion, and I haven't done any number running, you did. I'm not sure that we have a base of retail enough that we could increase that enough to make up for the B&O loss.
Yeah, it would take a sizable increase. Now, of course, our retail sales are going in the right direction, but this will take almost 53%, and I don't think that's going to happen in the short term. I think it could happen over a period of 5 to 10 years, and it's certainly, look, I'll be honest, the B&O tax, and I've said this publicly, our state, very unlike Ohio or Pennsylvania, our state, West Virginia, really regulates the way cities can raise money. There's you only have so many options to levy taxes, and B&O tax is one of the. It's a very outdated form of levying taxes. That most if you talk to most business owners, they don't like it. And as a small business owner myself, I don't really like the B&O tax, but it's about a third of our revenue stream. So if we're going to get rid of it or reduce it, we have to make up funds in other ways. One of the things that Huntington did a couple of years ago, which gives them this flexibility, is they have a $5 user fee. Now, based on the popularity of our $2 user fee here, I don't think that's the direction people want to see us go. So it's just something to look at. Huntington is a population a lot bigger than ours. They have a little more. Yeah, you're right. Their downtown has a little bit more retail going on right now. They've seen some good retail growth in recent years. But all cities are not the same, so we have to look, what works for Wheeling. I'm always interested in ways to reduce our reliance on B&O. I'm actually on a committee with the Municipal League, which has been working with West Virginia University and Dr. John Deskins to really study municipal finances across the state and give some proposals to the legislature this upcoming session on how we could streamline the way cities raise money. B&O tax most people would say it's outdated. It's a tax on gross sales, not on net. So, give the example of someone who invests in an old building or something. If you put a lot of money back into that building, you're still going to pay the same B&O tax as if you did nothing to fix that building up, because it's a tax on gross sales. It doesn't really reward investments back in your business or in your building or in your properties. And that's something that's an issue I've had with that tax, just sort of theoretically, is I think we should encourage people to invest back in their businesses, but the B&O exactly does not do that. But my point is the city of Wheeling cannot change the way B&O is calculated. It's a creature of state code. Could we have some more flexibility there? People may not want to hear this.
I've never understood. I've always said I'd love to know who the guy was who came up with a B&O tax and thought it was a smart move. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. It's what we have to live with. I get that, but and you can't. And the problem is it's so entrenched now. You can't just drop it. You'd lose too much revenue.
Like I said, we lose a third of our revenue stream if we were to zero out the B&O tax, and we're not allowed to raise the sales tax beyond the 1% we've already levied. User fees are not popular, as you saw. That we turned to the user fee only because we identified a need for public safety facilities, and that was the best way to pay for it because it was one of the permissible uses of user fees under the statute. But if you go over to Ohio, and I'm not suggesting this here, but you go over to Ohio, like city like Martins Ferry can have a 1% income tax, which I think is fair because it's based on your ability to pay, and it basically gets rid of the need for all these other types of taxes. A 1% sales income tax in Wheeling, I'm pretty sure if we'd done the math on that, could zero out the B&O tax and the sales tax or whatever. And it's a simple tax. I mean, everyone already pays a state income tax, so it'd be a simple fee. And most cities across the across the country have this. Most larger cities have income taxes. So that's just one idea. I'm not saying I'm for it or whatever, but it would get rid of the need to have a very outdated tax like the B&O tax, which if you talk to business owners, they don't like it.
The problem I think you're going to find, I think you'll probably agree with me, is that the current state of the legislature in West Virginia is not to give power back to the cities, but rather to take more away. So
you don't say, Howard. You don't say.
So if you're gonna suggest the cities ought to have more flexibility, I think you're swimming upstream against where the legislature wants to go.
Well, certainly the idea behind the Municipal League reaching out to Dr. Destins this year to do the study, though, was that last year you saw proposals. There was, for example, a proposal to get rid of city enacted user fees. And that's fine. User fees are not popular, but the problem was that there was no resulting or corresponding proposal to provide cities with any other way to raise those funds or make up for those lost funds. The people in the legislature realized that if you zeroed out user fees, you're going to basically be defunding police across the state, because a lot of police departments are funded through user fees, including down in Huntington. And that's why that proposal ultimately ended up dying, because they realized we don't want to be the legislature that defunds the police. Well, had they had a proposal to zero out the user fee and come up with a more efficient way of raising revenue, I'd have had no problem with it. Give cities just other options. User fees are not ideal taxes either, because they're basically the same tax for everybody. You could argue that's a regressive tax. The CEO of a company pays the same tax as a person working in a fast food store. That's not fair, arguably, but that's the way user fees have to be crafted under state law. So I get it that the legislature may not see cities as wanting to empower cities, but the idea behind conservatism is let the lower branches of government kind of innovate and create and compete for ideas and give them that flexibility. I mean, I thought that was a central tenet of conservatism. We certainly have a conservative-leaning legislature right now, and I'd love to see us just give us a little bit more flexibility. And I think you'd be surprised at how cities would innovate.
I'm going to make a comment, and you don't have to respond, and we can move on from this, but the problem is that much of our legislative, much of the GOP in the legislature right now, what you just said is true. That's a conservative principle. But what they really want is that the cities follow what they think is the right move, not what you think is the right move. That's really the bottom line. Are you still getting, let me phrase it as an observation, see if you concur. It seems to me that I am seeing less complaining about the user fee than I did in the beginning. And I'm thinking it may be because people are beginning to see what can be done with that user fee now, with the new police headquarters and some of the other things. Now, maybe that's a false impression I'm getting, but that's an impression I'm getting.
It's definitely now that we're starting to get into the phase where those funds are going to identifiable projects. I have noticed a slight decrease. You'll still get the occasional comment on Facebook, and you want to charge me $2 a week, and you do this or whatever. You get those comments, but we did the groundbreaking for the police department headquarters the other day. I think we found that even when we pushed for the property tax levy back in 2018, that most people want to give the police and fire departments new headquarters. That wasn't the issue. They just, weren't willing to pay for it. Well, at least with respect to that levy we proposed, 54% were willing to pay for it, but we didn't meet the statutory requirement of 60%. Even when we were discussing the user fee, nobody came to us and said the police don't need a new headquarters. That was never brought to our attention or argued by anybody. People just didn't like to pay for it. But now that they're seeing that project move forward, and that headquarters is going to be done in about a year, which is very, very exciting. We'll see the fire department. We'll break ground on the fire department headquarters in East Wheeling here probably early 2022. And then the other half of that money is infrastructure projects. And I've said a lot of the early ones, sort of projects we focused on, are sort of small slips or hill repairs that, unless you live in those neighborhoods, you're probably not seeing those projects. But wait till we start doing the sidewalk on Wheeling Hill. That's one of the ones we've identified as a project and a need. I think that's going to be funded expressly with user fee funds, and that's something that needs to be done. And you'll start seeing some more identifiable projects and that are tied to it. That's the key, though. When you raise taxes or fees on people, it's very important to show where those monies are going. And, I've made the case that, I wouldn't have pushed for a $2 user fee if I didn't think we had identifiable needs where we had to spend those funds. And I'm proud of the way the city is going about sort of allocating all that.
Well, you and I talked recently, I don't want to repeat it again, but actually the city is making a lot of very positive moves these days. We're seeing a lot of very positive activity, the police headquarters. I have to say, as you know, I had a lot of concerns about this downtown parking garage, the one that will be connected to with the Wheeling-Pittsburgh Steel building, for example. But as a member of the Planning Commission, having looked it over all the plans this week and having seen some of the details and having a chance to ask questions, that actually turns out to be, in my mind, a really exciting project. Not just because, in fact, in my mind, it isn't because it helps the Wheeling-Pittsburgh Steel building. I think it's going to be a great addition to downtown.
it's going to transform an entire block, and that's probably our error in because we've always envisioned it having a retail component, but like the focus and the way it's been perceived in the media is simply as a garage to help the Wheeling Pit building. Obviously, when you have a building the size of Wheeling Pit sitting in the heart of your downtown that you have a developer wanting to develop but for a parking garage, you're going to look at that as an option. But really, if you take Market Street from 11th to 12th Street, right now you have one retail outlet. And when this project's done, of course, we got to get the spaces rented out and activated. But you're going to have an entire street with 6 or 7 retail outlets on that one city block, where right now there's almost no activity. That to me is a sort of incredible step forward for downtown trying to reinvent itself. And it happens in the same block where the health plan is. And, the health plan was certainly pitched as a catalyst for downtown revitalization. So to see this, happen just right next to it, I'd like to see, then it go a couple more blocks in every direction. But, I think it's a huge step forward, just providing, what right now is not a very active city block, just giving it some fresh life.
Yeah, I had a lot of questions about this to begin with, but I was really impressed with the work put into it and with the plans that I looked at, and so I was happy to vote.
Well, Vic Recco deserves a lot of credit. Vic Recco came up with a great concept. He's, one of our city's sort of elite architects. He's come up with great concepts for it, and certainly gets the way it needs to fit into everything else that's going on. And, he's honored the local architecture with some of the designs in it. And it's hard to make a parking garage look too neat, but I thought he did a great job with sort of within those constraints. And the first floor retail aspect is really going to be a nice touch. And, obviously it's on us to get those spaces activated, but I think folks will be willing to jump on it.
And it will tie in with the streetscape project when it gets coming and so on. I thought it was very good. Mr. Mayor, I got to run on. Appreciate your time today. Thanks a lot. Just wanted to touch on a couple of these things. Always good talking to you. I'll do it again
Howard,
sometime
thank you,
soon. But if not, we'll be listening
great.
to you on Wednesdays. You're Wheeling, no two ways about it.
Thanks, Howard. Take care.
Thanks a lot. Wheeling Mayor Glenn Elliott checking in this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. I really wanted to talk about that B&O tax. Huntington eliminated the B&O tax. They did it as a test run last year or earlier this year, I forget. And they said it was very successful. And so on restaurants and retail only now, not the whole B&O tax, but restaurants and retail. And it was so successful in Huntington, they decided to make it permanent. No B&O tax on restaurants and retail. And I wonder if that is possible here in the city of Wheeling. You heard some of the numbers, though, the mayor gave, were they to zero the B&O tax out, go to no B&O tax on restaurants and retail, they would lose $1.5 million in revenue, and it would require a 53% increase in sales tax income to compensate for that. That's a pretty hefty hill to climb, but it's worth at least thinking about and looking at. All right, I'm way behind time. No big surprise, right, Biff?
Nope.
Biff just says, no, pretty much I expect you to be behind. It's 8:40, 20 till the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. I do want to do a COVID update coming up. And also, Biffy, it looks like everybody, not just those who went to the games, but those who were watching them, we were ready for the NFL to come back because their ratings are up pretty good. We'll talk about that coming up on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time.
If you need me to take a second break, I can. I know we're running late. Okay.
strawberry in your free pickup order with the utmost care. Because we believe in treating your food the same way we'd want ours to be treated. It's the golden rule, only for like fresh fruit and stuff. Order now using the mobile app. We're fresh every day, so shop anyway. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Free pickup on orders of $35 or more. Restrictions may apply.
What's the biggest topic offensively as West Virginia gets ready to take on the Hokies of Virginia Tech? Well, it's the play of the offensive line. Specifically, the unit needs to become more physical and have a successful run attack. WVU's offensive coordinator, Jared Parker, addresses how the unit can get better in season.
As we told the offense, we meet as a staff and talk like, how do you get better, right? Because I think everybody, first, especially young guys, you think, okay, you work all this time from January essentially till now to the start of fall to get better, which is a huge thing for us, like to get better with urgency. And so now it's as if I think some people mistake that the season's here and you just go play. Well, you got to get better each week too. You know, like we're getting better now and we have to get better each week. So what do we have to get better at, right? You have to locate what those are. Game one told us some things that we need to address right now. And us being physical and also which involves not just being tough physical, like meaningful contact, footwork, and all the things that allow you to be physical and successful. That's the first step, right? Is just ensuring our fundamentals to get better each day at the things that allow you to play physical and play well. I think that's the key for us to take the step. And then if we own that, then the other things start to pair up and you can match those together.
And as for this week's opposition, the defensive front of Virginia Tech.
Anytime you're dealing with guys that are active and do what they've done, they've been very successful playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage, whether it's TFLs or sacks. They do a great job moving them. They play well with their hands up front. They know what they're doing. They own their gaps, and they've had success doing it. You respect watching it. They're wired up well, and the staff's done a good job with them.
WVU offensive coordinator Jared Parker. A reminder, the Neil Brown Show comes your way tonight here on the Mountaineer Sports Network. We begin at 6 p.m. from Kegler's. That's today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics.
Technology can be challenging for business leaders, but Omni Strategic Technologies enables your business to perform without limits. They're the only IT company the watchdog trusts. Omni offers IT managed services, cybersecurity and advisory solutions, backup and disaster recovery, and can handle all your hardware needs. If your business is faced with any technology challenges, the answer is simple. Call Omni Strategic Technologies at 304-242-7600 or visit them at www.omniperforms.com.
As first responders, we focus a lot on the physical demands of the job, but what about the mental demands? As a new Concord Police Chief, I know firsthand that it's not normal to see what we do, take it home, and deal with it on our own. That's why I encourage you to seek help if you need it. Visit the Ohio Department of Insurance's website, insurance.ohio.gov, or call 800-686-1526 to speak to experts who can help you understand what mental health benefits may be in your health plan.
As much as we say we love nature, when it comes to bugs, not so much. When it comes to trees, the Ohio chapter of the International Society of Arboriculture wants you to know that most insects are not harmful to trees, especially if their populations are small. There are exceptions to that, but don't forget, every insect has a predator that's just looking to make it a meal. So sometimes it's just good to let nature take care of itself. If you're concerned about insects in your trees, find an ISA certified arborist near you at treesforohio.org. That's trees, 4, ohio.org.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Hoppy Kercheval. West Virginia, in many ways, is a diverse state, often with different issues, challenges, and successes depending on where you live. But we're also a small state, and we're all connected by being West Virginians. Every day from 10:06 till noon, I talk about and provide insight into the events that shape who we are. My approach is tough but fair, and we may disagree, but together we'll stay abreast of what's going on in our great state. Successes, the hardships, the challenges, and of course the politics that contribute to making us who we are. So join me weekdays, 10:06 till noon for Metro News Talk Line.
Sports Map Radio is on all night long. Tune in to get up-to-the-minute sports coverage on FM 98.1, AM 1600. We are the Watchdog.
Watch out! He could climb on his soapbox at any time. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
I wanna live, I wanna give. I've been a miner for a heart of gold. It's these expressions I never give that keep me searching for a heart of gold. And I'm
We back? This is bumper? Okay, all right. 8:48 it does until the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. I'm not sure what happened there. I lost my connection. I thought they didn't want me to talk to Biffy anymore, or y'all. But we got things fixed up again. We're looking at 61 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. We are looking at 63 degrees here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. Some fog floating around outside both places. 62 at the Robinson Auto Group Studios as well in downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Going to be a mixture of sun and clouds throughout the day today. Daytime high around 78 degrees. You may remember recently, on the past couple years, the Woodsdale School in Wheeling put together a community school partnership to raise money to put a new playground on the Woodsdale School property. It's a great playground. It's one the community can use. It's one the kids at the school can use. They've got all kinds of neat new items there, basketball hoops, lots of good stuff there. And it has generated interest elsewhere as well. So a fundraising campaign to build a playground at Steenrod School officially kicks off with a steak fry on September 24th, which is next, what, Biffy? 24th.
24th is next Friday.
Next Friday. All right.
Yes.
So next Friday, there's going to be a steak fry from 6 to 10 p.m. at Sonneborn Shelter in Wheeling Park. The proceeds will benefit what they call Cardinals in Motion. That's a parent-teacher committee formed for this playground campaign. So the principal at Steenrod says every time they ask students what could make this school better, the answer they get is a playground. And so they're starting to raise money and eventually going to build a new playground. They're researching the equipment. They don't have a cost yet. The Woodsdale playground was $200,000 to $250,000. They raise money from the community as well as, some school grants and so on and so forth. But anyways, it's exciting to see everybody getting together and talking about new playgrounds. We have a lot of new playgrounds. The city has taken care of upgrading playgrounds around the city, and the schools are doing the same thing. I like that. Woodsdale playground is great. One of the grandkids, little Ariana, she's not little anymore. Can't say little.
They'll always be little to you, though.
That's true. That's right. They'll always be little to me. But Ariana goes to Woodsdale, and she just loves that playground. She loves to play there. Teddy loves to come by and play at the playground, especially with his cousin Ariana. He always gets excited. I want to play with Ariana. Anyway, it's a great idea. Woodsdale has really capitalized on it. Took a lot of effort to get the money put together. Steenrod is now trying the same thing. So I just want to point out to you, steak fry next Friday, not tomorrow, but next Friday, 6 to 10 p.m. at Sonneborn Shelter. Tickets are $25 a person, $40 per couple. That will include your steak, potato salad, beer, and water, live music, a DJ, raffles, and so on. If you want to buy some tickets, if you know someone from Steenrod, they can probably sell them to you. But if not, just call the school, 243-0356, 243-0356, to help the Steenrod parents and teachers and students work on a playground. I think that's a great idea. 9 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Looks like, Biffy, if you looked at the stadiums on the NFL games on TV this week, they were pretty full. People were ready to get out and enjoy the games, right? Same thing is true with college games. They just were packed.
Yeah, it looked like it, and it'll be interesting on Sunday when the Steelers have their home opener to see the crowd that they get at Heinz Field.
TV ratings for most sporting events have been down since the pandemic began last year. But the ratings for the opening weekend of the NFL last weekend were up 7% from last season. Now, keep in mind, last season was down, so they're still down from highs of, a couple years ago, but it looks like they're going up. So the way I read that is whether you're at home or in the stadium, people are ready for sports to be back, Biffy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It doesn't matter if it's college football, the NFL. It seems that as long as it's football, people are either watching or going.
Monday night's Las Vegas-Baltimore game was the most watched Monday night football game since 2013.
And
again, I think people are really watching.
What an ending that was. The Raiders at
overtime, right?
Yeah, went into overtime, and the Raiders had thought they won the game, but the guy's knee was down and wasn't a touchdown, and then Baltimore had a chance to win, and the Raiders stopped them, and then Derek Carr, the quarterback, right off his back foot in a blown play by Baltimore, had a guy wide open, and he just real quickly took about 2 or 3 steps back and just kind of threw one in the air, and the guy caught it, and the Raiders ended up winning. So they went from a game that they thought they had won to not winning the game to finally winning the game in overtime, and just a crazy ending in Las Vegas.
And again, it was the highest rated first week for Monday Night Football since 2013. So again, clearly people were watching it. The season opener last Thursday, Tampa Bay and Dallas, was the most watched first game of a season since 2015. So again, even accounting for the pandemic year being down, it's not surprising this year is more because we're coming out of the pandemic. Well, we're really not, but you know what I'm saying. We're not measuring against a bad year. We're measuring against all years, and they're doing very, very well. Again, what that says to me, people are just ready to get back to sports, whether you're going to the stadiums or watching it on game. ESPN put out a list of reasons they think people are watching football, the NFL right now. Number one, last season's games were played in an empty stadium because of the pandemic, and that was just weird, Biff?
Yeah, it didn't seem right.
Yeah. Also, last year, the first half of the season took place during a presidential campaign, so that was, that was a pretty intense campaign. So some people were watching maybe cable news and so on more than they were watching the NFL. So those are some of the reasons ESPN cites. But anyway, NFL's opening weekend ratings are up. And the overall ratings for this past weekend, second highest in the past 5 years. A couple of the games, the highest in 6 or 7 years. So that's again, I think that's very good news. Coming up today, statewide talk line. Hoppy Kirchhoff's here at 10:06 this morning, and as always, Hop will have an entertaining and exciting program for you. I can say that without any question, Biffy, because I will be part of the show today. I'll be on with Hoppy today on Statewide Talk Line. I don't know if he knows what he's asking for. He would like my opinion on Governor Justice's desire to be a basketball coach. Well, I've got some things to say about that.
Will Hoppy have enough time for one segment for you?
Exactly. So I have some things to say about that. So I'll be on with Hoppy today to talk about the coach situation, the grievance the governor has filed, and so on. Also today, Brad McElhenney in on Statewide Talk Line to talk about the governor's coaching desires. The president and CEO of the West Virginia Hospital Association talking about COVID today with Hoppy. Secretary of State Mac Warner is dropping by to talk about the elections bill that's pending in Congress, one that he being Warner, does not like. So all of that's coming up today. Statewide Talk Line, beginning at 10:06. Hoppy Kirchhoff here, and I will join him. I think it's the tail end of the first hour I'm on with Hoppy. So I'll be in with Hoppy today to talk about that. Of course, unless, Biffy, unless
you get bumped.
I get bumped. I've been bumped before. I've been just bumped right off that couch. But, if the governor knows I'm on, he may just call Hoppy. Hoppy, how about if you put me on instead? That Monroe guy's going to say bad things about me.
Or if he puts or if he puts the governor on with you at the same time. Now that would be good.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Get your popcorn for that one.
That would be fun. Well, I could do that someday. I think that would be fun. Governor, his first term in office, the governor was on this show multiple times. And I know some of you are going, well, yeah, he was a Democrat, then you let him on. Hey, I'd love to have the governor on. They don't really respond to me much at all anymore. I'd love to have the governor on. And listen, I have said a lot of very positive things about the governor. I have a lot of criticism for him. I think he's being wishy-washy on this no mandate, no vaccine mandate, no mask mandate. I think he's being wasteful of taxpayer dollar with baby dog contests. Let's forget about baby dog. Let's do other things. And I certainly think this whole coaching thing is just ridiculous. It's just beyond ridiculous. But having said all of that, I think he does some good stuff too. So I'd love to have him on. Anyways, I will be on with Hoppy today to talk about the governor's coaching career. That's today on Statewide Talk Line. All right, ABC covers the world. That's next. And then coming up next hour, we're going to kick things off with the hosts of a new podcast called Health Interrupted. It's about doing health and wellness things even when you have medical issues that get in the way or even when it becomes difficult. Health Interrupted, it's a new podcast. We're going to talk about that with the co-hosts of that show, including a Miss America. And we'll also talk with Dreama Denver, who was their guest this week on that podcast. Dreama, of course, the wife of Bob Denver, the late Gilligan of Gilligan's Island. She's been with us before. She'll be on in the next hour as well. Plus, I still have a COVID update to get to, so stick around. Lots of territory yet to cover here on the Watchdog Morning Show. But right now, at 9 o'clock, we check in with ABC, and they cover the world.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
To get the turbo pump ready on the second
It lifted off last night from Florida.
Okay, Biff, I'm expecting Dreama Denver. That's, I think, a guarantee. Then, who are these people? Hold on a minute. Gina Lombardi and or... I'm going to find my notes here. Hold on. They're here somewhere. Here we go. Gina Lombardi and Laura Kepler. They are the two co-hosts of this group. As I said, Kevin Sizemore scheduled this, so I don't know if they're both going to be on or just one of them with Dreama. We'll play it by ear. Just let me know who's there so I can properly introduce them. But they're coming up next at 9:10. Okay. And then I still have to do a COVID update, so we'll do that at some point before we get to Bob. All right. Thank you very much. Don't know what happened to my connection there. I lost it before, so it just went away. We connected back up again after I rebooted. Okay, I'm going to get some more coffee. I'll be back.